Hello, my first two friends. This is James, the PhD teacher, and welcome to my Stitch with Me live. So today I have a new start. I already started stitching this one. This is from the Owl Forest. This is a free chart of the Owl Forest embroidery. It is the, the chart's name is Starling. Hello, Lara and Carol. Today is November 7. It's 4 o'clock here in the Philippines in the afternoon. So let us now continue. I will be continuing my stitching. So I will be stitching this one in hand, and the threads that I am using is are CXC threads. I use the DMC numbers instead of the variegated threads of the Alforest embroidery. So I haven't experienced yet um, buying a kit from Alforest. So I usually download PDF charts from them. I purchased their uh, PDF copies of their charts. Hello, Stitchery lovers. Congratulations for your 1K subscribers, right? Oh, thank you, Lara, for appreciating my bird pieces. Oh, it's 4 a.m. there. I hope you have enough sleep. So I'm using my laptop recording for this Stitch with Me live. Does any one of you have a all forest embroidery in hand? Hello there, Nicola. How are you today? You need to try All Forest, Lara. They have beautiful um, charts, especially their kits and especially their threads. Their variegated threads is very beautiful. One thing I love about Alvarez charts are uh, the characters that they created. It's very beautiful, and of course the flowers, the the vines, they are very beautifully made. Hello, Jassy Sandbox. Good afternoon from Saudi Arabia. Wow. Thank you very much, Ailara, for I watched your um, Stitch with me, Nicola. I I learned something new about starting a thread. So yesterday, as you have observed, maybe if you have observed, I had braces. So yesterday, I the braces were gone and replaced with a retainer, and I had difficulty eating and as well as difficulty in pronouncing some words. So right now, I only have the lower part of the retainer because the upper part, if you have noticed on the first uh, part, on the earlier part of this Stitch with Me live, my pronunciation is bad. So I decided to take it off first so I can speak clearly. May I ask if you are stitching right now and what is the project that you are stitching as of this moment? May I know what is the height chart that you are stitching, Lara? Actually, this week I also had a chart that I cannot put down. It's the Bella Filipino chart, the Rosa Mystica. I have stitched that one straight for 5 days already. I stopped stitching today. So I already finished the stitches and the back stitches. Now I am doing the beading part, and it's a bit difficult because the fabric that I am using is 18 count, and the beads uh, are very are too crowded. So I stopped and maybe make a plan on how to uh, do the beading. Maybe I will be not putting all the beads. I am also planning to restart my Mirabilia piece. I stitched that one on a 32 count Zweigart fabric, but I am not quite, what do you call this? I had a hard time stitching one by one on her skin, and I'm not quite satisfied with the result of it. So I decided to restart it on a 16 count fabric, Ada, because the one by one stitches that I made, most of the X or the stitches were not uniform, and I don't know, and then it's very hard to stitch one by one. This time, Nicole, we are preparing for our dinner. So there are many beautiful charts on Bella Filipina. The one that I will be uh, stitching or plan to stitch are the fancy ladies or the queens of the Bella Filipina. So the queens uh, are related to our traditions, festivals, and some uh, folklore in our country. That's why I want to stitch them. Yes, I that would also. I was thinking that if the beads can fit on the 16 count, but I think I the safer fabric will the safer count is 14 for Bella Filipina because the 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 model chart, I mean the model piece for the chart is stitched on a 14 count. Chatelaine, yes, it's expensive and it has a lot of special stitches. I think they use uh, other type of threads, which is a bit expensive. I don't know if I'm right, but the finished uh, piece of chatelaine is wow. It's very, very beautiful, elegant, exquisite. If you happen to watch Sharky Stitcher, she had a chatelaine project. It has a lot of beading and some special stitches, but once you see it, it's you can say, "Wow, it's amazing." So right now on this piece, I am stitching the house of these two starlings, and I like the colors they use on this chart. Mostly the colors are light colors. Only the s- color of the starlings are a bit dark. I haven't yet um, created a name for the rooster. So the fabric that I'm using right now is 18 count fabric, but based on what I see on this fabric, it's made up of plastic. I don't know what's the name of it. It's a bit stiff, and if you touch the this one, it's you could tell that it's made up of plastic. And this, as you can see on the side, so it will not fall out because it's made up of plastic. So I love 18 count fabric size because it's easier to stitch. I have only stitched on three counts. We have 14, 14 count, the 32 count, and the 18 count. And 18 count fabrics are a bit hard to find here and a bit of expensive, but I found uh, some 18 count fabric sold online, which are a bit cheaper. It's from Indonesia, a store from Indonesia, and they called the fabric streaming fabric. It's it's not a thick fabric, so you need to also adjust your tension of your stitch of the stitches. But since it's um, cheaper, so I usually buy that one. So I think the price of mostly the price of a an 18 can fabric here in the Philippines would range to $30 or 1,500, which is the size is 1 meter. But 14 count and 11 count are uh, are popular here, or many stores are selling 14 count, and it's it's a bit cheaper because I think you can buy a meter or a yard. You can buy $5, I guess, the cheapest, up to $10, I guess. So I have no problems on seeing the 18 count fabric, but when I stitch on the 32 count and did one by one, oh my god, I need to have a magnifier or a magnifying lens to get the stitches done. Okay, so I need to frog. Do you have any techniques on frogging? So for my next Stitch With Me live, maybe I'll be doing another Owl Forest chart, which is the Christmas bears. and it's timely because Christmas is fast approaching, and I need to stitch a Christmas theme chart. So the mm, thread number that I am using or that I'm stitching right now is 503. Yes, Nicola, today it's a very warm day. Usually, most of the nights here, uh, we experience rain or sometimes a thunderstorm, sometimes affecting also our health here because it's hot in the day and then it's a bit cold at night. Usually, the during December or January, it gets cold here in our country because of the north wind. We called it as amihan. It's the wind from the north, and then but we don't have snow here, but just a cold weather, maybe 20 degrees or 18 degrees. Usually, the coldest part here, I think, would be 4 degrees. But here in our place, it's I think 22 degrees. So when I finish a thread, I just slip it on under the stitches, the other stitches. So in this case, this one, I hope it would hold there. I wonder how cold a negative 2 degrees. Yes, Lara, it's a bit hard, especially I am using a needle here that is, I don't know what's the size of this one. It cannot punch through the stitches, and sometimes when I use the smaller one on a regular fabric, I usually insert it under the fabric, aside from the threads or stitches. At first, I am using knots on ending threads. I think I can have a frostbite on that negative 2 degree temperature. But I've seen a post on a Facebook. I think uh, it's in Canada. They had pictures where their hair were freezing, and I said, "Oh my God!" And then they are on a pool. I think that is a cold pool, and their hair are freezing. It's like they had a hairspray or a including their including their eyelids and the beard, and I wonder how they can contain the freezing temperature. Thank you very much for the 4 viewers right now, the 4 million viewers right now. I hope you are enjoying our conversation as well as my stitching, and I hope the audio is okay, or you can hear clearly my golden voice, Joe. Last Stitch with Me Live was a disaster. My audio is not working well, I guess, or I think because okay, so because I've talked a bit not loud, that's why maybe because there had problems in audio, because while I am doing that Stitch with Me Live, my brother is here in the room, and you know, actually during this schedule, I usually join the Zoom meeting um, of Daisy's teacher. If you happen to watch him, Darren, he usually hosted um, Zoom meetings for the Daisy's teachers FB group page. So usually at around 4 p.m. here, teachers from Europe and from the United Kingdom usually join uh, the Zoom meeting, and there is, I think, another schedule which is morning here in the Philippines that would cater teachers from the US. So it's been, I think, a month right now since we had that Zoom meeting hosted by Ellie, which is also a floss tuber. If you want to join the next Zoom meeting, I don't know, maybe next week or next week, you can join the DC's Teachers FB group page, and we had uh, enjoyed having conversations with other teachers, plus tubers, exchanging information or stories about cross stitching. There is one instant that Teresa Little Stitcher attended or joined the Zoom meeting, and it was fun. It's like you are also watching and listening a flush tube live of her. So when I am stitching, I usually stitch start stitching at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, s- especially when I am working at home, because we are required to work on campus uh, twice a week. And if ever I'll be working on site or on campus because I'm a teacher, I usually start stitching in the evening, maybe 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock after our dinner. But when I am at home working, so my schedule will work will start at it's either 9 a.m. or 8 o'clock in the morning. and we'll finish at around 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And then after my work schedule, then that's the time I'll be stitching. But I sometimes stitch on my lunch break. Right now, uh, the students are having online classes. They are not The government did not permit to have um, face-to-face classes since the pandemic has begun. I think since March last year. So we haven't seen our students in person for almost 2 years. Recently, the government approved to have face-to-face classes for college students. They had first approved students who are taking medical courses such as nursing, medical related, because it's important that they had this exposure on their internship. So right now this month, I guess, uh, they had started vaccinated um, s- children ages from 12 to 17. So maybe next year, if all is well, there will be no surges on of cases. Maybe we can have now a face-to-face class, but I think on a limited areas only. At the first year, there have been many challenges and difficulties both for teachers and students on the news setting. Some children, I mean, cannot cope up with the online setting, maybe because their parents are also working and they had no companion to guide them. And also, we are now at level 2 on the what do you call this, for the COVID status. So everyone is opening up for 50%. The restaurants, the malls, also the transportation, the public transport, and they had allowed to people to not use face shields anymore on outdoor places, but for indoor places, they are still required. And it's happy to see that people are getting outside and doing a normal things like what it did before 2020, and I hope it will be a wonderful Christmas celebration. So actually, maybe in 2 weeks we'll be having a trip on a bit on a beach with my coworkers. Since other provinces are opening their local tourist spots, it's a good news for the end of the year. But I've seen on the news that Russia and I think countries from Europe are having another surge, and maybe the reason is the people are not yet vaccinated. And I think the UK also increased COVID cases. So I hope people would agree to be vaccinated so that everyone will be comfortable on going outside.